At this point in time in the Beyond Light weapon meta, there are many different options that Guardians are finding to be effective in PvP. From hand cannons like Ace of Spades and Dire Promise, to pulse rifles like No Time to Explain and Cold Denial, the Crucible seems to be in about as good of a place balance-wise that it has ever been in. However, I wanted to make this video to bring a few more weapons to the foreground because I think they deserve a little more attention due to their high-end effectiveness in PvP. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Man of Cole, and today, let's talk about the most underrated weapons to use in Beyond Light PvP. If you aren't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you click the subscribe button right under this video. It's a free way to support the channel and it really does help out. By the time this video comes out, we have either already hit 1,000 subscribers or are very close to it. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Alright, so usually for these weapon meta videos I make, I usually have some type of criteria that I follow that these weapons need to meet in order to make the list. However, for this video, I have no criteria. These are just a few weapons that I have used in PvP that I had found to be surprisingly lethal. All but one of these weapons on this list today are relatively accessible, so if you're wanting to try out any of the weapons on the list today, you should be able to easily farm for them. I'll also be sure to note where you can obtain these weapons throughout the video as well. Let's start with the first weapon in today's video, Friction Fire. Friction Fire is a 600 RPM kinetic SMG that can be obtained from doing Wrathborn hunts by using your Cryptolith lure. Friction Fire has an optimal time to kill of 0.8 seconds and a body shot time to kill of 1.1 seconds. Friction Fire is one of my favorite weapons from this new Beyond Light loot pool. The reason this SMG is good for both PvP and PvE is due to its possible perk combinations. With perks like Killing Wind and Zen Moment in the first column, and Slideways and Rampage in the second column, this weapon can really perform well in the Crucible. As I mentioned earlier, you can obtain this weapon by using your Cryptolith lure and selecting Friction Fire as your reward upon completing a Wrathborn hunt. If you've got your lure upgraded enough, you can even select which perks you would like to include or exclude as part of the possible perks for it to drop with. One perk that I want to mention really quick is the perk Wellspring, which states that kills with this weapon generate ability energy. This energy is divided between your uncharged abilities. In my last video where I talked about some of the best hand cannons to use in PvP, I talked very briefly about Wellspring and how I needed to do some more tests with it in order to be certain whether or not it was a perk that was worth equipping. Here are some of the results I've found. Out of the 3 abilities that Wellspring takes into account, melee, grenade, and class ability, if one of the 3 abilities isn't completely full, it will recharge about 8% of that ability's energy each time it's procced. With 2 out of the 3 abilities empty, it will split to about 4% for each of the 2, and with all 3 abilities empty, it will generate about 2% for each of the 3 abilities. With that being the case, I think Wellspring is a fine perk. It's not going to be a perk that absolutely makes or breaks the gun, but the fact that you can earn ability energy after getting kills is definitely a nice perk to have. Unless you strictly play 6v6 modes where you have more opportunities to chain kills together, I would say you could probably find some other perks to make you more lethal in the Crucible. Friction Fire pairs really well with sniping, which ends up working out pretty well since it is a kinetic weapon, and you can pair it with Adored. If you shotgun, I'd maybe only use it on smaller maps or pair your shotgun with something like a high impact pulse or a hand cannon. Another underrated option for you shotgunners, believe it or not, comes from the new compact bow, Biting Winds. As I said, Biting Winds is a kinetic compound bow that requires 2 shots to kill an enemy, regardless of whether you hit all headshots or all body shots. But what makes this weapon so unique is that it can roll with the perk Swashbuckler, which says that this weapon gains increased damage from melee kills and kills with this weapon. So once you have Swashbuckler activated, you'll have about a 4.5 second window where it actually turns this bow into a 1-shot headshot kill, while also continuing to stack Swashbuckler after getting those kills. In the right circumstances, you could end up using this bow as effectively as you would with a sniper. In terms of perks, like I said, Swashbuckler is what really makes this weapon thrive. But I would say the other perk you would want to accompany with Swashbuckler is Quick Draw. Especially if you plan on using this bow with something like Fellwinter's Lie, then you'd have both weapons with Quick Draw, making your movement and handling very quick and responsive. I found this particular loadout to be very fun, and I found myself getting a decent amount of kills with it. You can obtain Biting Winds by doing the Dark Priestess Empire Hunt from Varix on Europa. The nice thing about it is that you can do it as many times as you can afford to do it, because it costs a certain amount of Here Always pieces. I think that's how you say it. However, you can only hold one at a time, so once you complete the quest, you'll head back to Varix and he will give you your new biting winds. Once you've claimed your reward, you can then grab the Empire Hunt and repeat the process. It's a nice way to do a targeted farm for a weapon that can have some effectiveness in PvP. The next weapon I wanted to go over today also comes from one of Varix's mini quests that he has in his menu, and that is the 3-burst sidearm High Albedo. High Albedo is an adaptive frame kinetic sidearm that has an optimal time to kill of 0.5 seconds and a body shot time to kill of 1.1 seconds. As I said before, High Albedo can be obtained from Varix on Europa. When you initially talk to Varix, it will open up to the first menu page. If you scroll over to the second page, you will see there are 5 other weapons that you can obtain by doing these mini objectives. For High Albedo, all you have to do is complete 1 lost sector, while also getting 50 precision kills with a sidearm in said lost sector. You do not have to get 50 precision kills in 1 lost sector run, it is just 50 kills total in a lost sector. Much like with biting winds, you will return to Varix and he will reward you with your new High Albedo. Since you can only hold 1 High Albedo at a time, as soon as you turn in your reward, you can then pick up another quest. For perk combinations, there are a few that I'm interested in getting myself. One of the possible perk combos is full auto and high impact rounds. If full auto isn't your thing, then I would say killing wind would be your other option. I like full auto for sidearms because it allows you to focus more on actually aiming than it does to aim and remember to pull the trigger for each burst. The reason why I like full auto for sidearms and not for other burst weapons like pulse rifles is due to how quickly you are able to shoot the 3-burst sidearms. For sidearms, not only do you have to focus on aiming, but you also have to keep a fast cadence when shooting, otherwise you're not getting the maximum effectiveness from using it. But by having full auto, you automatically are guaranteed to get the quickest consecutive bursts, therefore allowing you to solely focus just on aiming. Again, this is just my opinion, and I know some people really don't like full auto, but I think it really works well with this sidearm. Other perks you can get on this weapon include Snapshot, Demolitionist, Slideways, Headseeker, and Wellspring. Next, I wanted to talk to you guys about a particular weapon that you may have seen some rumblings about in the community. True Vanguard, another Destiny YouTuber, put out a video recently on his thoughts on the new scout rifle from the Deepstone Crypt raid, Trustee. Trustee can be obtained from the first raid encounter, and if you do end up getting it from the first encounter, you can actually get it from the 2 secret chests that are found in the middle of the raid as well. Trustee is a 260 RPM energy scout rifle with an optimal time to kill of 0.93 seconds and a body shot time to kill of 1.4 seconds. There is a lot to get excited about for this weapon. Again, and sorry to my not full auto people, but this is a scout rifle that innately fires in full auto. And on top of that, has the possibility of rolling some really interesting perk combinations. In the first perk slot, you'd be fine with either Killing Wind, Zen Moment, or Outlaw. But where I'm really intrigued is the new perk Reconstruction, which says that this weapon slowly reloads itself over time, up to double capacity, which means we can go from 17 or 18 up to 34 or 36 rounds in the magazine. That's a lot of bullets and a long time for you to go without having to reload, which bodes well in PvP. In the second perk column, I'd say your best 2 options are either Wellspring or High Impact Reserves. For PvP purposes, those 2 make the most sense and seem to be the most impactful. If you're desperate, I'd also maybe throw in Eye of the Storm as well, but opening shot isn't that beneficial for a scout rifle, and sympathetic arsenal and redirection are basically non-factors in PvP. I had a lot of fun playing with the Trustee. I used it for a few games in the control playlist, and I was very frequently finding myself cleaning up some kills at fairly long distances. It would struggle at times on maps where it was a little more condensed, like Anomaly or even Cauldron, and since it is a weapon in the energy slot, you're not able to pair it with something like Fellwinters. So unless you have a decently rolled Astro Horizon or some other close range weapon, you may find yourself in some precarious situations on smaller maps. But in terms of how the weapon feels, I was pleasantly surprised. The accuracy and aim assist feels incredible. The buff to Scout Rifle aim assist actually feels really good and noticeable, and the recoil direction on Trustee is quite manageable on both controller and mouse and keyboard. So if you are inclined to do the raid, which I highly suggest you do, keep an eye out for Trustee. Deepstone Crypt was actually the first raid I've ever completed in Destiny 2. In Destiny 1, I completed all the raids many times, but for whatever reason in Destiny 2, I just haven't had an interest in doing any of the raids. That changed with Deepstone Crypt. I really enjoyed doing this raid, and if you are someone who is kind of in the same boat as me, I highly suggest you give it a shot. It's very fun, easy to learn, and the loot is some of the best in the entire game. Do you guys have any underrated weapons that you've found? Let me know down in the comments. If you are looking for a clan to join, A link to our Destiny 2 clan will be in the description down below. Remember to click the subscribe button as well and click the bell so you know when my videos get posted. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter. I try to tweet out important stuff that's happening in the Destiny community, so if you want to stay up to date with that kind of stuff, link to that is down below in the description. Thank you all very much for watching. A positive rating is always appreciated, and as always, we'll see ya.